When I was growing up, we lived with our great-grandparents in Colfax, Washington.
Where were they? When were they born?
They were back in the 18s.
Before the Civil War?
No, not quite that far.
I had a great-grandma that was born right after. So.
Yeah. They lived to be 90-some years old before they passed away.
Oh, isn't that something? What year did they pass away? How come you lived with your great-grandparents?
We lived there for 4 or 5 years. For some reason, we just couldn't, my parents couldn't take care of us.
Yeah.
So they decided to take care of me and my brother.
Yeah.
And we lived with them for a good many years out on the farm.
What were they farming out there back then?
Wheat and cattle, a little
Yeah.
bit. That was way back in when.
Yeah.
That was in the late 40s, early 50s.
What year were you born?
I'm 46.
1946? That's when the pickup trucks were starting to look really cool.
Yeah.
No, they looked cool before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived with them for a good many years. Till we were in the 2nd or 3rd grade, we lived with them. Then we went back to Spokan to live with my parents. But
What was life like in Spokane in the 50s?
it was fun. It was different,
Yeah.
especially after living in the country for
Yeah,
so
I
many
bet.
years. Yeah, it was all right.
Were you in the city of Spokane?
Yeah, up on the north side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd kids do to get in trouble around there then?
We used to do weird things, especially at Halloween. Go out and take a spool of thread, an old wooden spool, make notches on it, go up to somebody's windshield or window, put a pencil in there and go.
And make it bounce
Right
up and
along
down?
the window.
Yeah.
A couple of times a guy come out of the house too quick. I got whipped a couple times.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were kids, what did the kids do? Were kids causing a lot of trouble then? Smoking
Not really.
cigarettes, drinking booze, or
No, we didn't.
are all good kids?
That never happened till after we moved to Malden in the 1960s. My brother, he loved to drink, him and another guy. Every now and then they catch them out in the middle of an intersection with a case of beer, sitting there drinking their beer under the street light.
Oh, at night?
Yeah, my brother and another kid who lived in Malden. Yeah.
How big of a town's Malden?
It was about 175, maybe 180 people.
Gosh, isn't that something?
Yeah, you knew everybody, and everybody knew you. And if you did something wrong, that your dad and mom knew about it before you got home.
Yeah. Yeah. They, when did you start? You said you like to do a lot of hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Is
we
that
used
when you guys
to
started
hunt.
hunting?
Well, we hunted, even when we lived in Spokane, when we were in there, let's see, probably 10, 12 years old, we'd always go up north to Newport area, Newport, Washington, and do a lot of hunting up there.
Yeah.
Deer hunting. Then after a while, my dad got dogs. We used to coon hunt, bear hunt, cougar hunt.
Yeah.
That was clear up until 1962, I think. So that's when we moved to Malden.
Yeah. What, you remember any specific hunts that you went on with the dogs?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them. We used to go up Meadowline Falls area, chase bear half the night, or half the day.
Yeah.
I shot my first bear up there in Meadowline Falls area.
Were you scared?
No. Why? We were used to shooting wildlife, and it didn't bother us.
Yeah.
The dogs would tree them, and we'd get them.
Yeah.
And we'd take them up. And the only thing about a bear, when you skin them out, they look like a human being hanging there.
Yeah. Isn't it creepy? Yeah, it's creepy when you skin your first one.
Yeah.
Makes it feels a little close to home when you take the fur off of them.
Well, yeah, they do. They look like a human being when you hang them up in a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was that when did you guys pretty, what did your parents do? Were you guys like,
Oh,
you hunted for food mainly? I mean, sport and food and
yeah.
community and
That's
stuff?
my dad, I don't know. He was kind of a drunk a lot of times.
Yeah.
Back then, he used to be a railroader out of Hilliard, the GN Railroad.
Yeah.
And he used to like to drink a lot.
Yeah. What'd you guys do in high school over there? Did you remember your first car? Did you get a car in high school? Did you work and do all that?
Well, my first car was a 1947, 46, 46, 47, 48, 49 Studebaker.
You had to put it all together, huh?
A piece from each one.
Yeah.
In fact, it was an old green one with gray doors and a trunk from one of them and a hood from another one and one of the doors from...
Yeah. Was it a Ford sedan? Was it a Studebaker sedan or
It was just two-door.
two-door coupe?
Yeah.
Get all your buddies in there?
Oh, couple of us.
Was it attractive for the girls?
No, we didn't. Girls wasn't a long ways from our thinking.
Yeah.
No, I never was involved with girls too much.
Yeah. That's just trouble anyway. Then what year did you graduate? Did you go straight into the service? Were you drafted? Or did you volunteer?
No, I volunteered. But we moved from Spokan to Malden, Washington in 1962. And my parents, they we run a service station from 1962. So most of our time was involved with a service station.
Yeah.
Go to school, come home, run it, let mom and dad do whatever they had to do.
Yeah.
So,
What kind of lessons do you think you learned doing that?
how to handle people.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you figure it out?
No.
No.
You never figure people out.
No, you never
No
did.
matter what you do.
Yeah.
People are a funny animal.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you always think about that, how they just it takes all kinds of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Grandpa always tells me.
Yeah.
It takes all kinds of people to do.
Yeah.
I guess that's why the world's so crazy.
Oh, yeah. Not as crazy it is nowadays.
Yeah. You think it? That's a good question. I think. Do you think the world's crazier now than it was then, or now we're just exposed to it? We're able to see how crazy it is.
I think it's crazier now,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. We weren't crazy when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Not to that point that they are nowadays. And I mean, we didn't do stupid things. And
Yeah.
we hunted and fished, and that was the way most of our family was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I graduated high school in 1964 from Shadle Park High School in Spokan.
Yeah.
Then I went to school in Spokan and Shadle Park till 63. Then I went to Rosalia High School and graduated there in 64, in May of 64. Then we just kind of run the service station because we had another service station in Rosalia. So we were kind of busy all the time.
Yeah. You have pretty fond memories of the service station?
Oh, sometimes.
Yeah.
People, getting used to people was the hardest part.
Yeah.
They always had a few a-holes, I guess you could say.
Yeah. They call them Karens nowadays. I always wonder why they call them Karens. Like, who's the Karen? I want to know who is the first Karen, or why they ruined that name. Why they
no
destroyed
idea.
that name. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Karens nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. Did people in the towns you were in, did people really appreciate that you guys had the service station?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a few that did. I had a few of the old railroad, because Malden was a railroad town.
Yeah.
For the Milwaukee Railroad for years, until Milwaukee pulled out and went to St. Mary's, Idaho. But some of the old timers, they wouldn't buy gas from the service station in town.
Oh.
excuse me. They'd go 25 miles to Cheney to buy their gas instead of buying it in Malden. They'd spend more money by the time we went to Cheney and come back.
Yeah.
And if they'd sit there, I remember we were paying for gas about 18, 19 cents a gallon.
Gosh, isn't that wild?
Yeah, them were the days.
Yeah.
Yeah, December '64, went in the Navy.
What led you up to wanting to go into the Navy? Just get out of town, or was a lot of people doing it?
I think it was the time of the time frame, I guess. A lot of the draft was going on. And instead of getting involved in the draft, me and my brother, we both went in the Navy.
Oh, okay. Did you guys get to go in together and stay together?
We went in together, but when we had to come home for a funeral of our grandparents, one of our granddad. So when we went back, my brother, had back trouble, so they separated us.
Oh, I got you.
So,
well, did you have any idea when you were getting into the Navy, like what was going on with the Vietnam War? Were you guys really aware, or was it pretty much not much known until you got there?
it wasn't, we didn't know too much about it. They didn't say too much about it when we even in boot camp.
Yeah.
But then when we went to radar school, then it was altogether different in Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we knew where we were headed. Then I was put on a minesweeper out of radar school out of Long Beach, California. The only wooden ships in the Navy at the time.
Oh, okay. What did a minesweeper? I mean, I'm sure it did what it's named, but how did that operate?
Well, they'd had their big. Well, I don't know how to explain that one. They had big cables and stuff.
Yep.
And fire arm or explosives on these big arms.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd pull along and they'd catch a mine and snap it. And then it'd fly up, and then they had somebody on deck with a M1 and detonate them.
You'd shoot it with an M1 on the top of the water?
Yeah.
Did you get to do that?
No, I didn't get to. I was in the radar room. We didn't get to do a lot of things. But we got sent to Vietnam. We intercepted a lot of sampans over there.
What's a sampan?
The little boats that the Vietnamese people used, they were, I don't know, probably 15 feet wide and anywhere from 10 to 20 feet long, I guess. They were just little boats.
Yeah.
We'd stop them. Some of the boats, they would have arms, ammunition, stuff in the bilges.
Oh.
We'd take the people on board our ship, and we'd take them into Da Nang and turn them over to the official.
Oh.
Some of the ships or sampans didn't make it.
Oh.
We'd be towing them.
Yeah.
So they'd end up going down. They went to the closest land, down.
Yeah. Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Where were you at in Vietnam during this?
I was on a coastal patrol 3 different times. So I was in 65, 66, 66, 67, 67, and 68.
Wow.
It took us 45 to 60 days to get to the Philippines from Long Beach, California. And then we go to Vietnam, coastal patrol there for 90-some days of a whack.
And then go back to the Philippines?
Go to the Philippines, then go back to Long Beach, California. Get everything realigned. Then we go back.
Yeah. When you were doing coastal patrol, what types of you were dealing with the sampans, but were you guys under fire from aircraft or anything like
No.
that? Or
We never had aircraft and fire up too much.
oh, that's good.
The only time is a couple times when we went up a couple rivers, but my main thing was the blue water, as they call it.
Yeah.
'Cause that was when we were about anywhere from 8 to 10 miles from the shore.
Oh yeah. What were you guys looking for out there?
We were just coastal patrol, sampans, anybody contraband going up and down the rivers or the coast or whatever.
Yeah.
That was our main job. Stopping them, taking the people on board, or I got a couple times of guard duty on them with a submachine gun. I didn't feel very good at that.
Yeah.
When you got 80-year-old people that can't hardly walk and you're standing there with it.
Oh boy, isn't that something?
It wasn't much fun, but
No, I couldn't imagine. When they the Navy's part in that, were you guys mainly trying to intercept
anything,
supply runs and
all that on a lot of the sampans and stuff along the coast.
Yeah. Were they using the citizens to secretly move a lot of stuff? Is that
Oh, a lot of them.
because we were interrupting their logistics? Probably
Yeah.
if it was military based.
There was a few of them we intercepted and had arms and stuff down in the villages.
Yeah. Were the Americans pretty compassionate towards the?
All the ones
Civilians
we
and stuff.
stopped were pretty much.
Yeah. I always think about that when how you always hear, people bringing out like the bad examples like they do with law enforcement, but I try to tell myself that I think we're a lot more empathetic than people think
Oh, yeah.
when it comes to that.
A lot of the people were pretty decent, even though we had to do our job, and
Yeah.
that was different.
Yeah. Did you get any downtime when you were over there where you got to explore the Philippines or anything like that, or was it all work?
Well, we'd go in there to Vietnam, then we'd go into the Philippines to have repairs done or something. Then we went to Japan, to the dry docks up there and have work done.
Yeah.
And into Hong Kong. But come out of Japan one night heading towards Vietnam. We had 3 different storms from a different direction. We tore planks off the bottom of the ship. We had a 40-millimeter gun on the forecastle and tore it loose. We had 1.5 feet of water in our berthing areas. The evaporators, we didn't have saltwater coffee. So we didn't make Vietnam on that trip. We went back into Philippines to have repairs.
Yeah.
Because being an all-wooden ship.
Right. What was the name of the ship? Do you know?
Well, the first one was the USS Pivot.
Can you pull that up? I wanna see what this
MSO
looked like.
463. Then the second one was Lex 2 was the second 2 ships I was on, or the second 2, was the USS Fortify, MSO 446. 2 different times.
Huh. Were you scared as could be when that thing was hit storms come in on that ship?
Yeah, we bounced like a cork. Being wood, we only had
Oh, yeah?
11-foot draft,
Oh wow.
so we'd bounce. Our radar antenna was 65 feet in the air, and we buried that in the waves. Blew out our radar, all that kind of stuff.
How'd you guys get back? A compass?
Well, yeah.
Do they have lighthouses over there?
A what?
Did they have lighthouses over there?
No.
No?
No.
Maybe that's a dumb question. I don't know.
No, not really. I mean,
Heck, I have no way of knowing.
but no, it was no lighthouses. We were assigned 3 different areas. I mean, each time the ship went, there was different areas we were assigned to.
Yeah.
There's usually 5 ships in 446, 44 or 463 and 446.
There's 446.
That's the last one I was on. And the
Oh,
one
isn't
behind that was a 463. That was the first one I was on.
Oh, isn't that cool?
We were 130 feet long, 35 feet wide, 11-foot draft.
Where'd you work at on this ship?
Well, up in see where the, way up in there.
Oh, okay.
It was down lower about, up right in that area.
Oh, okay.
It was where our radio room was, and our radar room, and the sonar room.
And then it's down below that, the kitchen and everything. You're there, or where?
Down a little bit lower, right in there.
Oh, okay. That's important to know where the food's at. Yeah. Did you guys ever fish off of the ship?
No.
Were you not allowed?
No, we never had time to fish off the ship.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got much done.
Every morning, though, we'd have to knock the flying fish off the deck.
Oh. What was that like, seeing a flying fish for the first time?
Oh, they were just, it was weird. The first time ever seeing one.
Yeah, like a little alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where the aliens live, is in the ocean. You seen
Somebody
some of the stuff
did.
that's down there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. What was your favorite experience out there in the working for the Navy?
I don't know. Just being able to do our job, I guess, man.
Yeah, you were pretty proud of it.
Damn proud of it.
Yeah, I love that.
We do it again, but they ain't got no sense of humor anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to find something for you and John to do for the Navy. You guys would be good recruiters down there at the VFW. I know that.
Sometimes, maybe.
So I was wondering, as far as your leadership goes, did you have pretty good leadership when you were in?
On our ships, yeah.
Yeah.
We had about between 70 and 73 people on board. The officers, and you had 5 or 6 officers. And then the rest of us were all the crewmen, enginemen, operation people, like we were.
I see. So, in your opinion, as far as being in the military at this time, what do you think was important to have as a leader in order to be successful in the Navy?
Well, we had good people to work with. I mean, they were decent people.
Yeah.
I mean, you out at sea, the command officers and everything, we were just like you or me talking until we got to shore or got to port.
Yeah.
Then it was altogether different. But out there, we were just more or less one big happy family, kind of.
Yeah. You probably had to be to stay sane. I mean, you got to.
Well, you were working 4 on, 4 off. Sometimes a little more, dog watching, stuff like that. It just...
What's dog watching?
Well, if you're working 4 to 8 or something, and then dog watch, you would work 4 to 6, and that was when the next crew come over. So they just kind of keep us operating different times.
So you'd overlap a little bit?
Overlap.
Yeah.
Because radar men and sonar men had to be on duty all the time. Somebody did, so.
You guys, when you're out there on patrol like that, did you ever... Was complacency ever an issue, or was everybody pretty focused 24 hours a day?
Pretty focused.
Yeah.
You had to be.
Yeah.
And you had to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just part of the life on one of them small ships like that.
Yeah. You said so you guys came back to the United States every, 90 days, you said? About?
Oh, give or take. I can't really say.
Yeah. Well, you said, I remember you were saying you came back one time to California and picked up something or
Well,
got
I was on the USS Pivot. Then we come back to Long Beach, California. And then I got transferred to the Fortify.
Did you guys get off the ship in Long Beach and go explore?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What'd you think about that coming from small town Washington State out in the
It
out in
was
the boonies?
different experience.
Yeah.
But back then, being in the Navy, doing what we were doing, we were the bad people.
Yeah.
People would cuss us out spit on us, cuss us out in the airports or whatever. I mean, we were looked down on.
Yeah. Oh, have you ever figured out where that came from? Who started that? Or where did that propaganda come from?
Colleges,
Even
yeah,
back
a lot
then
of
it was universities.
Yeah, and then we had a lot of foreigners that would be in the airports, like them gurus or something, in their garb,
Yeah.
and they would give us a hard time all the time in the airports.
At any point during that, I imagine that must have been really difficult. At any point during that, did you ever, because you're going back out to sea, right?
All right.
Right. Did you ever look forward to going back to get out of there and having to not deal with the public that way?
Not really. It was just we had a job to do. We just accepted it
Yeah.
and did what we were told. And
Right.
I mean, it would take us 11, 12 days to go from Long Beach, California to Hawaii.
Right.
Top speed was 12 knots.
12 knots. What is that, like 15 miles an hour?
No,
What is 12 knots? Is it 2.2 or 1.2? I can't.
it's about 1.2 mile an hour,
1.2.
ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're by no means hauling ass.
No. No.
What was the life like? The nightlife like in Long Beach? Did you get out and do anything?
Oh, yeah. I always went to
What did they call it then? Like chasing dresses or something? Or what?
Well, I never did do that.
I thought you met somebody over there.
I did. That was
Where was that in Long Beach?
in Long Beach. That was in 67. I met my wife.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, we never. I never did too much.
Yeah, good for you.
We had the Pike down there in Long Beach. It was an amusement center. Once in a while, we go to the Lido, which was a place where a guy could go and dance if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Other than that, the Y or the USO?
What was the Y? The YMCA?
No, YMCA.
Yeah.
Or they're the USO,
What's the USO?
United Services Organization. It was
Oh, they'd have a dance hall and all that kind of stuff?
no,
Or?
they more or less. On ours, we just had a place where I had lockers and stuff where we kept our civilian clothes.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, we didn't. We had to get off the ship in uniform.
Yeah.
But the way people were towards military back then, as soon as we got off the ship, I'd go to the USO and change into civilian clothes.
Yeah.
Because we were not very well liked.
Yeah. Did you ever take it to heart at all? Like, with people treating you that way, did you ever think that maybe you were doing something wrong, or were most people pretty like this, didn't let it hit too deep,
You couldn't let it hit too deep.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd drive yourself nuts
Yeah.
if you did.
You see, that was the difference between his time and my time. We were ordered to wear civilian civvies, we called them,
Yeah.
off the ship.
Off the ship, yeah.
No uniforms off the ship,
Yeah.
unless you took them off to get them cleaned.
Yeah.
That was
We had to use uniforms on and off the base.
Huh.
And that's why you go to the USO and change clothes.
Yeah, that's too bad. I'm really sorry you had to deal with that. And for those of you that wondered who that voice was, that's our buddy John Robinson. You got to check out his episode. This is his best buddy Gary here in the hot seat. So there are going to be people that'll recognize that friendly voice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. I feel bad that you were treated that way. I think it's I know we talked about this with John, but it's what was her name? Jane Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think she was causing a lot of
Oh,
riffraff.
Hanoi Jane. Yeah, she was on the radio quite a bit. Get on the radio. Try to cut down the morale of the servicemen.
Yeah.
And stand up for the North Vietnamese.
Right. I don't think people understand. I've been fortunate enough to visit with a couple people that were, well, actually one of my very close, I would say, friends and coworkers. His family, they were Chinese, but they lived in Vietnam, and they were very successful. His grandpa owned a metal business.
Oh, yeah.
And they did very well. Like, his dad was supposed to be a doctor, go to school in Europe to be a doctor and stuff. Well, then when the Viet Cong took over, they took everything from him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and they were refugees. They fled. I think he's in his 50s now. He was just a couple years old. Yeah. And they fled on a boat. They were sponsored by a family.
Well, they were kind of like the sampans out there just to get away from.
Yeah.
They could make it up to Da Nang, which is the northern part of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And they were safe there, but if they crossed a little bit further north, they were, I don't know what you would say. Yeah, well, North Vietnamers, I mean, they weren't looked upon very well.
Right.
Yeah.
Fought two different.
Yeah.
Viet Cong.
Yep.
The NVA.
Okay. Yeah, and then I talked to another guy who he fought for South Vietnam, and then after the war, he was in prison for like 5 years, and then he came over, he escaped or something, and ended up in the United States and worked for the Postal Service.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to sit down with him and talk about it. And it is wild to hear his story. And we're still trying to get him on to talk about. He wanted to talk about what communism really is because of how. So I mean, the fight and what America was trying to do over there was, I think it was genuine from what I understand. To, I mean, we sure risked a lot, but I think it was in good faith. How do you feel about it?
Well, we were doing it in good faith, but personally, my own opinion, we shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Because France had been there fighting that war quite a while before we got there, before the Americans got involved. See, so we shouldn't have been there, but we went there and did our job.
Yeah.
So some of the younger viewers, growing up in school, they don't talk a whole lot about the history of the Vietnam War for at least kids who are my age. Yeah. So some of our viewers might not know exactly what this was about. Would you mind explaining, just summarizing what this whole war was about for them?
Well, it was trying to keep the South Vietnamese people solvent compared to being the North Vietnamese, which were trying to control and be a communist people. Yeah. And they were trying to convert the Southern people to the communistic ways.
Yeah.
So that's the main part of what it was. Right. And we were just there trying to fight for the South Vietnamese to get away from the North Vietnamese. I don't know how you would say it.
When you look back and think about, this might be a tough question. You don't have to answer it, but just out of my curiosity at this time, was there any belief that the military-industrial complex was looking at anything to establish not only financial gain, but this image of power over the world by just getting involved to show our force?
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I never would believe that one.
Yeah.
We were just doing our job, and we're sent there to assist the South Vietnamese, and the North Vietnamese were kind of fighting the whole situation.
We were trying to stop the spread of communism.
Yeah.
Because we knew if South Vietnam went, Laos and Cambodia, they would possibly be next.
Yeah.
Maybe Thailand.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it would spread like a disease.
They called it the domino effect.
Yeah.
Which it kind of happened, but it didn't materialize after the war.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to hear that because a lot of the information and the history stuff, you go back with the conspiracy theories and things as everybody. There's this, I don't know what it is. I'm not involved in it, but you just hear all this information thrown around, whether it's true or not, and everybody says, "Oh, we did this because of the military industrial complex was trying to do this and all this other stuff," and then the good-hearted people want to believe that that's not true. So I appreciate that you answered that for us, because I think.
Well, yeah, we tried to protect more or less the South Vietnamese from the North Vietnamese communistic rulings.
Yeah. And like John said, it was probably a lot bigger than that, because if you understand the domino effect, it could have really been something.
Well, yeah, it could have been.
And I think that's probably similar to what we're doing now with Taiwan and China.
Yeah.
As they're trying to get that back and influenced, and then it would be the same type of thing rolling again.
Well, I think China's deal is a lot different than what we had to go through. I mean, look at the size of China compared to what Vietnam was.
Right.
And Taiwan is not that big. And of course, China's trying to take over Taiwan, and it's nothing compared to. I don't think compared to what we went through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
So when you went to the military, prior to you signing up, was there an anti-war sentiment beforehand, or did that happen after you had gone in?
I think it was after. I don't think we had that. Excuse me, when we first went in.
It was kind of in infancy.
Infancy, yeah. It wasn't no big. It wasn't a high priority thing, It was just. And as the war progressed, then it got to be the other way.
68 is when it started getting out of hand.
50, 67, 66, 67, 68, back in that period of time is when it was a little different.
Yeah.
So were you guys surprised as to how big that movement ended up getting? Was that something that surprised you guys? Or did you see that coming?
I didn't really see it.
I never thought about it.
Yeah, we didn't think about things like that.
It's crazy to think about that you guys are out, out on the water doing your job, kind of isolated from civilization, and then every time you show up back at port in the United States, was it progressively getting worse and worse?
At
the
times,
protests,
it did.
Yeah, it's too bad.
The only thing about being out at sea, we used to chase rain clouds to take a shower. I ain't kidding you. We used to chase the rain clouds. Everybody would get out on the deck and take a shower.
I'd never heard that before. You just get out in your skivvies and stand on the deck?
Well, sometimes we didn't even use a skivvy. Just went out there and we're on deck and let the showers come down and wash yourselves off, and that was our shower.
Yeah. Did anybody ever get risky and try and jump in the water for a swim or anything? Or was that a big no-no?
Well, at some places when things were calm, the captain would stop the ship and let some people, if they wanted to swim or something.
Yeah.
But we still had to stand guard because they had snakes and stuff over there about that long. Kind of a yellow and black snake that if they bit you, you wouldn't make it back on the ship.
The sea snake.
Yeah,
you
wouldn't make it back on the ship.
I think they're the deadliest snake
They were.
on the planet. I think they might not be the deadliest. I mean, obviously they're not land snakes, but I think they're like one of the deadliest snakes. I never thought about that. You weren't just worried about sharks, you're worried about snakes over there. Snakes in the grass.
Two-step.
Yeah.
What's a two-step? Besides a dance that I can't do.
yeah. Yeah.
Mangrove. Them are on land though, right? Look up a sea snake.
Two-step was on land.
Yeah. But
What's
yeah,
a two-step? You got to be 2 steps away from it or something?
You made it 2 steps.
After it bit you?
You did after a couple of
Yeah.
steps.
but we were always on guard whenever the people wanted to go swimming. Well,
Yeah.
the captain would let us go swimming if they wanted
Yeah.
to. I never did because I was always afraid of getting down in the water and not getting
Heck
back
yeah.
out. But out in the closest land was straight down.
Yeah, yeah. What's that? The two-step snake. Can you pull up the Wikipedia on that thing? That is so cool. I've never heard that. The two-step snake. Scroll up there a little bit, Wayne. Can you scroll up the other way? I want to look at the Wikipedia real quick. Estimated mortality rate, right? Where was it? What Wayne scrolls fast, boy. The venom of the many-banded crate consists of both pre- and post-synaptic neurotoxins known as whatever. By weight, almost half of the protein content of the venom is composed of. This is way too scientific. I need I need the kindergarten's
This
book
is the snake
version of
that-
this.
This is the snake you were talking about, John?
Huh?
This is
The
the
snake
you
was
were
so
talking
poisonous, you'd get 2 steps away.
Yeah, there was a small one. It was only about
Yeah.
as big as a worm.
Yeah.
about. Oh, I saw
Get
that.
in your clothes.
Oh, no kidding.
I saw that one.
That one?
Yeah.
Do you ever run into one of those, Gary?
No.
That reminds me. That's about like some women. What was that song? Venom wearing denim.
I don't know about that.
That wasn't Johnny Horton. I forget who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun.
But the ones we see at sea, they were probably about that long. They were
Yeah.
yellow and black, and you had to keep an eye out for that, and sharks, of course. But
Yeah.
more interested in keeping an eye out for the snakes,
Yeah.
so people could enjoy themselves for a little while.
Right. So how long? You said you were done in '68, or when
Yeah,
you got back to the United States?
December '68. Well, like I say, I married my wife. I met my wife in April of '67, and married her in October of '67, and then when I got out in '68,
Yeah.
we come up here.
Well, when you came home, do you remember the feeling of coming home from Vietnam? Of what it was like?
A relief.
Yeah.
Just going over there and knowing what you had to face stuff, it was
Yeah.
just a relief to get back on American soil,
Yeah.
as they say.
Yeah, and you came back and you were married. I bet that was I bet you that was really exciting to be able to come home and
Oh yeah,
realize you get to start your life with a family, and there was some
well,
people didn't get fortunate where they got to come home.
well, my wife, she had a child anyhow, but that's all right. It was all family.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And through the years, we had 2 more kids. So.
Yeah. What'd you do when you got out? Did you take a break and enjoy it? Did you do any traveling, or did you go straight to work, or
Well, I worked for the town of Malden.
the mayor of Malden?
Well, I was kind of the town clown.
Yeah.
I was the sheriff, the street maintenance, the water superintendent, the dump superintendent, street repair. That's all. I did everything.
Yeah.
$290 a month.
Jeez. Taking care of the town. Did you? And what was you with those service stations? Did your family still have those? Or
Oh yeah, we had doing everything else. We run the service stations too. But
yeah.
Well, they'd come down to the house and get us in the middle of the night and need gas. They'd take us up to the service station. We make sure they got gas to leave town or whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
My wife, a lot of times, some guy would come down on a motorcycle and she'd get on the back and go up and open up the service station, give him gas.
And then he'd give her a ride back.
Give him right back.
Gosh, isn't that something? Like the small town efforts it takes. How far was the closest town from Malden? Big town.
Well, depending on how big.
That's a good point.
The biggest town would have been Spokan.
Right.
Which is 100 and some thousand.
Yeah.
Cheney was 25 miles away, but it was probably, I don't know, 40,000 maybe.
Yeah.
Rosalia, probably 750 people.
Yeah.
Malden was 160 some people.
Yeah. So even Rosalia is 3 times the size of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what that's like being from a small town. Man, back in the day before card readers on machines, I mean, you had to be timed. If you were going somewhere in high school, like if you wanted to go to town that night, you better make sure you had gas before 7 p.m. or you weren't going anywhere because it was 35 miles. And you only had, maybe 10, 15 bucks to get you a couple gallons of gas.
Well, we'd close the station about 6 p.m., but the people got to the point where if they needed gas, they'd come down and get my parents out of bed or come to my house.
Yeah.
Get us, we'd come up and make sure they had gas or whatever. It was just altogether different than what you would believe what goes on nowadays.
Isn't that something, the sense of community that it was back then, that y'all just took care of, we were all in this together.
Right.
Yeah, you just don't, I mean, I'm sure there's still some people out there that do that, but that's one thing about small towns is it was nothing to knock on somebody's door late at night because you had a flat tire down the road. Now you wouldn't.
Oh,
shoot, you might be shot 50 yards from the front door.
Yeah, we never took the keys out of our car.
Yeah.
In fact, we never had a lock on the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the way we lived.
Yeah.
And we always had somebody in town always had a car full of gas.
Is that because you were siphoning out of it every once in a while? No.
No, it was just the way it was. So if somebody needed the car, and they could come and take, because you had left the keys in it.
Yeah.
If they took the car and if they brought it back, it was always full of gas.
Oh, isn't that something?
It was just the way people were back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just people were people.
Yeah. I like that.
Everybody knew everybody, and it was no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in a town about, I don't know how many town I grew up in, but maybe like 400 people. Of course, I never took the keys out of my car, but I went to college my first day, and I was like, I better lock my car. Guess what was still in the car?
Yeah.
Damn keys.
Yeah.
So I did that a few times in like the first couple of weeks during that crossover from small town to college, locking the damn keys in the car. There's that sense of community is something that I wish we could get back to. It's crazy to think that we'll probably never get back to that.
I don't think we'll ever see days like that.
No. What a great time to, what a great, I guess, time in history to reflect on. Of course, you might not see it as history, but my age group does. But that's really something to think about. How did life go for you after you got back and you're run the town clown? And did you get into some hobbies or doing anything, raising kids?
Just raising kids, being a family, just doing, I don't know how you'd say it, but I just had people to work in the town.
Yeah.
You just did your work, and that was about it. We hunted and fished and stuff like that, and that's about the extent of it.
Through that time, did you look back on did you think about your time in the Navy and in Vietnam fairly often, or did you kind of put it behind you?
Put it behind.
Did you?
A lot of times it was something you wanted to forget about.
Yeah.
Really. But other than that, that's the way life was.
Yeah.
Then after I worked about a year and a half, or a little more in the town. Then I went to work for the Milwaukee Railroad for 9.5 years until
Okay.
they quit. They quit out here.
What'd you do for the railroad?
I was a brakeman and conductor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the Milwaukee Railroad quit. They were back east, and they started working their way this way, and
Yeah.
they pulled up the tracks, everything. And I had 9.5 years in there, 6 months shy of a pension out of the railroad.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I went to college for a few years, about a year and a half. Then come down here for a job, and it didn't pan out. So, yeah, what did I do then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What?
Oh yeah, well, we went bus school. I went school bus driving for a good many years.
Yeah.
You went golf club.
Oh yeah, Sandvik Special Metals, and we made golf shafts out of titanium.
Oh, that's cool.
I did that for 17 years.
You made golf shafts for 17 years? Golf club shafts?
Made out of titanium.
Was that fun? Did you golf too?
I never golfed.
No.
That little ball never did nothing to me.
I bet you. Yeah. It's like a giant game of fetch with yourself.
Yeah. I worked there 17.5 years, and one day about 15 minutes before the close of the day, time to quit, supervisor come in, said, "You got 15 minutes to clear your locker." Okay. That's the way it went.
Oh, that's too bad.
And then let's see what.
I bet you guys didn't talk much trash to each other building golf club shafts. You could just reach over and smoke somebody real quick if you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then you got the school bus driving?
Let's see, what did I do? Yeah. I didn't have no job, nothing to do, so I heard that the school bus was school district was hiring, so I went to class with John.
Oh, yeah, that's where you guys met, on the school bus?
Yeah,
You guys are kind of old to be meeting on the school bus, aren't you?
Yeah, we went to on classes there, and then we both drove school bus there, and then I went back east, South Carolina. Drove school bus back there for 7-8 years.
What took you over there?
My daughter had a business back there.
Oh, okay.
Her husband passed away right after we got back there.
Oh, no.
He was 39 years old, so he passed away, and she tried to keep the company going,
Right.
but she just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a lot to do.
And then it got to the point where I guess you could say technology overrode a business.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these people could order these mats and stuff for the construction people for running their equipment on when they're putting the pipelines down.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to run on these mats.
Oh, were they like crane mats made out of wood?
Yeah, they were about 3 foot wide, probably
Yep.
12, 18 foot long.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've used them a lot.
Yeah, and they
manufactured them?
manufactured
Oh,
them,
cool.
and they delivered them to all these different jobs.
Yeah.
And after he passed away, she tried to keep the company going. But like I said, technology and internet and all that stuff kind of
Oh, yeah.
blew a business out of existence,
Right.
because they could all do it by I'll call you up, or I'll text you up, and you order from you instead of.
Right.
So she tried that for I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years, and then she just couldn't do it. So we come back, state of Washington.
Yeah.
As soon as they found out I come back to Washington, they wouldn't leave me alone, put me back to driving school bus.
Did you love driving school bus?
I didn't mind it. I think the worst part of school bus driving was parents more so than the kids.
Yeah.
You just had to get used to the kids, and usually most of the kids were pretty decent.
Yeah.
There's always a few.
Was it hard for growing up in your generation, seeing kids the way they act now compared to your generation?
Oh, God. If we acted the way these kids do now, when we were growing up, we'd be laying up against that wall. Our parents would have knocked us for a loop.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't dare cuss them out or use the language. Right now, some of these kindergarten uses language that you and I would never think of using.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some four-letter words that I never even thought existed.
Yeah. Maybe those kindergartners came up with them.
Oh, I don't know. I think a lot of them learned it at home.
Yeah, probably from their parents. Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible.
That would be hard to be a school bus driver and know that there might be a kid that you see every day that doesn't have a good home life or something. I think that would be so hard. Did you go through that?
We looked out for that.
We kept an eye out. And if we knew of one or something, we would usually tell somebody in the school district, a teacher or somebody, and they would investigate.
Yeah.
See what we
We
could.
took up a collection.
Well, a lot of sometimes we took a collection to help people out.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, or Christmas time we buy gloves and stuff like that and give it to some of the kids.
Oh. I don't think school bus drivers get the respect that they deserve. I've never even thought about it until we sat down with Nancy, whose husband was murdered driving the school bus. But I never even thought about all the things that school bus drivers do for kids and families, and then just what you brought up, with taking collections for them, because you spend that time with them, and then you have that they're in your care in a pretty,
Confined area.
Yeah, confined area with a lot of chaos, but also you have a job where your sole job is to get them from place A to place B safely every day, twice a day. And that's really something to think about. I don't think that school bus drivers probably get the respect that they deserve, because I know they impact. Like, it made me think about, I remember, I don't even know her name, but I had this school bus driver when I was young. I'll never forget her. She was just so fun. I think she figured if you were going to be trapped in that yellow tube together, you might as well have a little bit of fun.
Being a school driver was one of the hardest but easiest job that you ever did.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many factors that you had to keep in your mind.
Yeah.
The kids, the people, I mean, the parents, some of them were the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, my kid would never do this, or my kid would never do that.
Yeah.
So.
When did you retire from driving school bus?
Well, let's see, when was that? You got 2015 is when you retired, and I went 2016. I stayed with it for a year after John left.
Yeah. When you I noticed you wear, well, I've only seen you at the VFW or over here, but when was there a time later on in your life where you started wearing your U.S. Navy hat every day, or was there a time when you kind of sat back and reflected, like, maybe I should,
Well, there's been a time or two.
Yeah.
I kind of pushed it aside, but it got to the point after a while that it was just part of our upbringing, our life.
Yeah.
And it
Just last 4
or 5 years, it was
good.
really doing it. But
Yeah. I'm glad that you guys do, because it gives us, we always try and thank people for their service when we see them out wearing hats. And I think it's so honorable to wear, the hat, because not only that, you're representing an entire community of people that went through stuff that most people will never ever go through.
Some of these guys nowadays will never do what we had to do when we were in the service. In some sense, some of the guys nowadays are a bunch of sissies.
Yeah.
Compared to what we had to do and live and grew up, wouldn't it, John?
I feel offended a lot of times.
Yeah.
By people that are my age
Yeah.
that I know they were going to college while we were,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they're thanking us, but back in that time they were spitting on us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they take off and go to Canada somewhere.
kicking us and
Yeah.
doing all kinds of things
Yeah.
just to make things miserable for us.
What is a way that the younger generations could show more respect, you think, or what means a lot to you?
Well, I think a lot of what we had to do and the camaraderie of the people we were working with was a lot of it. Nowadays, I don't think there's a camaraderie like we used to have when we were growing up. And to nowadays, I think we got a lot of sissies in the military. If they have a complaint or something, they go to their commanding officer. Well, Mama, my wife has this. Well, they'll let them come home.
Yeah.
We didn't have that privilege. I mean, if we had a problem, we solved it on our own, or I guess you could say. But now these, as I say, sissies,
Yeah.
is nothing compared to what we had to go through. You had to get down on your hands and knees to beg for time off sometimes.
Yeah.
Right, John?
I never had any time off while I was in.
Yeah.
Well, not Vietnam, but I mean, other than that.
Other than that, I didn't have when we were in the States, I got liberty. You know,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
other than that, no, we didn't.
Yeah. What does it mean to you when somebody comes up and thanks you for your service?
Well, I'm getting to the point where I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It makes as though somebody else recognizes what we did and what we accomplished in our period of time.
Yeah.
I feel some of them are.
Yeah. Well, some of them see, well, U.S. Navy on your hat. Well, they think they're obligated
Yeah.
to say something.
Like it's really not genuine sometimes.
No.
Yeah.
Some of the older people that say that, I mean, wish you congratulations for your service or all that. I believe in them.
Yeah.
But some of these younger ones nowadays, you don't know. It's not the same.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. I mean, like if you said something,
I
well,
appreciate it, but I don't think they're.
they don't have the meaning behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how they could do a better job of that. It makes sense. I always wonder now though, I think if a kid spends the time or a young person spends the time to say it, that kid was probably raised a little bit different than some of the other kids that would never even cross their mind. So maybe they're in the programming stage of it, and as they age and get more experience and hopefully sit down and get to hear some stories, it can add a little bit more validity to it.
They gotta teach more patriotism in the school.
Yeah.
Right.
When we went to school, the first thing we did was
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
Every day.
While we were driving school bus, I don't think anybody knew what the Pledge of Allegiance was.
I don't think
Oh,
they
really?
knew it.
Oh, do they not do the Pledge of Allegiance in schools
No,
anymore?
a lot of them don't.
Some of them do.
Some states do.
Some of them are now starting back
Yeah.
to doing it.
You-
But for a few years there, it was taboo. I mean, I think a lot of it was political,
Oh yeah.
that didn't want to mix politics and state
Yeah.
together. And by saying Pledge of Allegiance and all that stuff would be interfering with the system nowadays. Or,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that
While I was driving school bus, I always had in my lunchbox, I always had Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we grew up, I used to live in Florida when I was a kid, and that was one of the best experiences of my life. It was every day the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah.
But not only that, we did either one or two field trips to Mayport, because we were right there by Mayport
Right.
Naval Base, and we had people come in from all different backgrounds of the military constantly. They'd land helicopters out there.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd get to go out and tour helicopters, but we were raised around it. And for the 5th grade field trip, the big field trip for your 5th grade year was a week, and you went to what they called FANG, and it was the Florida Air National Guard. And we got to go there, and you learned, engineering things. They taught you how airplanes
Right.
worked. I don't know. I don't remember the teacher's name. They even came in with M16s and showed us, and they'd never be able to do that now.
Oh, no, that would be taboo.
Oh yeah, we got to sit in the cockpit of a jet. It was so cool, so cool, and I'm so thankful for that experience because because of the age group that I grew up in. When I was 18, in 2005, a lot of people my age were leaving for war. So I think there was a lot more, at least the kids I was around were very patriotic
Yeah.
going into the Iraq, because their friends were going into the Iraq war in Afghanistan.
So you said they should teach a bit more patriotism in school. How do you guys think that maybe we can go about that in a way that, what are some policies maybe a school can implement to approach that?
It all comes back to what they teach the teachers.
The teachers.
The
right.
teachers are the center for that, and a lot of the teachers were part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important do you guys think an accurate curriculum as far as history goes?
I think history should be taught in school.
They don't teach it.
And a lot of places, they don't even teach any of it or about any of the wars, the Civil War, the World War II, Korea. That's passé compared to what we were taught when we were in school.
You know what I think? That reminds me of how they, like taking a history out of education, the way they have, because so many people are ashamed of America's history. Well, I always hate this. I think people are forgetting what was going on in the world and that America was the light for the rest of the world to do.
Right.
I mean, we're the ones that brought the world out of that. We'll go with slavery and prejudice. And of course, there's always going to be some tribalism.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm so thankful when I lived in Florida that we were taught about slavery and racism and things, because it made you understand at a young age how it was. But we were also taught what America did and how many people died to come out of that. I mean, name another country where, 135,000 people died to end slavery.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Some of these people that are not liking our country right now,
Yeah.
they think we're all things bad.
Yeah.
They should go over and live in some of these other countries.
Yeah.
And
They would see how good we got it.
when they come back here, they'll kiss the earth.
Yeah.
They're standing on.
Yeah, I worked with a kid from Algeria, and he'd left. His family was in the government, and he fled because it was so corrupt that he was always a target.
Right.
And his dad, just because his family was in the government, so he left. Well, he was talking about one time when he traveled around the world a little bit before he came to the United States, and he was on a flight to the United States, and there was a girl, I think, if I remember right, she was from Sweden. And she was crying in the seat next to him. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And she was so happy because she was moving to the United States. And she was from Sweden.
Right.
But I just don't think that they got to teach those things, world culture,
Right.
Why
geography.
do they think all of these people are trying to get into this country?
Right.
It's not because their countries is so great.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point. If we were such a racist country, why were these people coming with different colors of skin from us coming to the country? If it was that prejudiced,
Right.
if it was that bad, they would probably be staying home. But yeah, it's really remarkable to think. I feel so appreciative that I get to sit down with, John and you now and other people. We've had other Vietnam vets and World War II vets in here, and it just, every time I learn a little bit more about, how we should appreciate what they did and what you went through.
Right.
Because I can tell you personally, I don't have half the guts any of you did. I just know I don't, and it's
Yes, you
no, trust
Oh,
me,
yeah.
I don't.
I think you do.
I don't think so.
If you were put in the same situation that we were, I think it would come right out and you would be right there.
Think so.
I know so.
What would you say for kids that maybe are in a place in their life where maybe they're a little lost and things aren't going the right way and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, and the military is an option for them? What would you encourage them to do?
I think if
It's a good
if
place
we
to
were
start.
back like when we were in, we had the same military ideas and upbringing that we did. I think they would understand what we went through and appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
And it's a good option.
it's a good option, right?
You learn something. You learn a trade,
Yeah.
usually, of some sort.
Right.
Yeah.
You learn a little discipline.
Discipline was a lot of it.
Yeah.
You probably learn a lot of life skills like organization,
Oh yeah.
sacrifice, of course, being a little selfless.
Yep.
Yeah, you learn a trade, and you're pretty secure, right? You have a bed every night.
Right.
You have food every day. So if you're a person that's out there barely getting by, and maybe you're working a counter job somewhere that's not paying the bills, the military might be a good option where you can go set yourself up with a set of skills. And
Well, it probably is, but it's nothing like what we had to go through back when
No.
we did it. I mean, it's a different world, I guess you could say.
yeah, it is. What do they say? Was it hard men create soft times, or hard times
Tri-Cities.
create soft men?
The Tri-Cities
Soft men create
actually
hard times. Yeah,
military town.
yeah,
You may not realize it, but
You-
Pasco
Used to be
was a Navy town.
Navy base.
Pasco was a Navy town.
No, the Navy Air Base over in
The air
Pasco.
base over there, and they even had
Recruitment.
recruiting over
Yeah.
there. What do they call that? That we went through in San Diego.
Don't remember.
Boot camp.
Boot camp.
Well,
They had
yeah,
a boot camp. They had
Yeah.
a boot camp in Pasco.
Oh,
Yeah.
All things.
yeah,
That's what I forgot.
But,
Boot camp.
yeah. Right.
Pasco and Kennewick were Navy town.
Yeah.
Richland was closed
Oh,
because it was Manhattan Project up there.
oh yeah, of course.
So most of the people who were up there were behind gates.
Yeah,
They never got out. They did get out some, but not very much.
right.
They didn't come down to laborers were mostly black laborers. They all gravitated to Pasco.
Oh, okay.
What's called East Pasco now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
East Pasco. Yeah.
Yeah,
When we first moved down here, they say you don't want to go to Pasco because they were segregated people more so.
right.
Kenno was
Well-
all right, but you didn't want to go to Richland because the snobs were living in
Right.
Richland. Because they were all in Hanford workers and they
Yeah.
thought they were better than anybody else.
GE workers
Yeah.
Coming out of New
wanted
York.
to break on everything you did for them.
Yeah, yeah,
So I remember when you had to go through gates, the Army was in Richland,
yeah.
and you had to go through gates to get into Richland.
Oh, huh. I heard
Because
they
it's
talk
a
about
government town until 1959.
Oh, okay. I got a question. In the military, what was it like with different races working together on a common mission? Did you deal with much segregation, or did you see it, or was the military pretty good about that?
When I had a lot of good colored friends in the military. We worked just as one big group.
Yeah,
There was no you're black, you're white. I mean, you're something else or Filipino.
We worked together.
We all worked
worked
together.
yeah,
We lived together, like on my ship,
yeah,
70-some people. I mean, you you didn't want that segregation.
My
right.
ship was slightly larger, but
Yeah, segregation was a thing.
the black guys did tend to stay by themselves when they went ashore.
Yeah, rightfully
But,
so.
On board, no,
We were all the same.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's. I feel thankful that like your generation went through that and broke up the segregation, things like that, because it's really, it wasn't that long ago, but look at now, you know, what we're able to do with everybody involved with each other. And
Right.
and it's, I bet when you get, you know, it's kind of like hunting camp. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but being on a ship, I'd imagine it's kind of like hunting camp. The camaraderie of being trapped inside a wall tent or something with somebody. And that's when, you know, you learn so much about somebody by their mannerisms and the stories. And there's something to that. You never forget a hunting camp. I wonder if that's the way it is about being on a ship.
You do. You don't. I mean, I had a lot of good colored friends on my ship, but one of them says, on the ship, we're all one big happy family. But when we get back to the States, you kind of stay with your group, and I'll stay with mine.
Yeah.
But we will interact.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't say, you're colored, you're this or that. We knew what it was, and we appreciated each other, no matter what.
Yeah.
The only group I ever saw that was segregated, kinda, was the Filipinos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could be in our Navy, but they could only serve as stewards
Stewards from the officers.
for the
Oh,
officers.
were they afraid of retaliation or something because
No.
of
No, I had some that were friends,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did too.
but they tended, you know, they were from the Philippines. They had their own language and stuff.
Oh,
So they just took care of the officers, cooked for the officers, took care of their clothing,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But we had barges alongside of our ship. It was up in a river. So they would go down there and they would fish.
yeah.
But
Off
they
the
never
barges.
served it to the officers, really. It was for them.
Yeah.
Gotta do this.
Yeah. How much time are we? Where are we at? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll probably finish up here in 10 or 15,
That's
10 more
fine.
minutes, if that works. I always finish things up here, Gary, with, I always try and search for some wrinkled wisdom from our guests. And if you could if you have some piece of advice or values that maybe you've passed along to kids on the school bus over the years, or other young individuals that you've had visits with, what's some wisdom you'd share with us?
Well, the main thing was to respect of other people, their properties, their lifestyle. Don't condemn you or somebody else for being what they were.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the main thing. Respect was the number one,
Yeah.
as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
And that was the way I was raised. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wish that they would teach some of this nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
where the kids would say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. But that would boil down to the respect
Yeah.
part. That's the way I feel about it.
I agree with you. When I lived in Florida, I got in trouble in the 3rd grade. I was talking on the school bus, believe it or not. And my teacher, Mrs. Miles, she was an awesome teacher. We were at Mayport, believe it or not. And we were on our way back. I was too loud on the school bus, you know. And she came back and she was like, you guys got to be quiet. I've already told you once. And I was like, she's like, do you understand? And I was like, yes. She's like, yes, what? I was like, yes, I understand. And she's like, you come sit with me. And I was like, what did I do wrong? Well, it's because I didn't say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. So I always try to say that's funny because you're down there. You know, you say that very still down south, very, very common.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing in the South. I found that out.
In Texas, you ever been in Texas?
Yeah, we're headed there in 2 weeks. Yeah,
The same in South Carolina, North Carolina. yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, sir. It was just the way of life.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy to think about that. Just that little phrase is so much respect to that culture, the Southern culture, that it's you're basically accepting that I'm younger than you
yeah.
and that you're my superior, you're my elder, and that I'm going to respect you for your time and your experience in life. And it kind of sets that what would you say, that not authority, but it's not,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Just a way of giving some, and it could boost their confidence. Who knows what it does?
Well, even sitting here talking to you, as far as I'm concerned, is yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, this, yes, sir. It's just second nature to the way we were raised.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And if we didn't do that when we were growing up, we ended up against the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, that was respect
Yeah.
of the elders.
Yeah, we try and do that here. This is pretty tight quarters in here to disrespect any elders in this room.
Well,
That's why I make sure that you're without arm's reach in case I say something I'm not supposed to.
well, even if you did, that would be something that I don't think it would play into it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the way we were raised,
Yeah, I like that.
our culture.
I appreciate that. I wonder if do you think with this recent election, you think things are going to come back around? You got hope for us or what?
To be honest with you, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
Can't get worse.
it can't get worse, but sometimes you hear him the way he talks. He's on the fence, but then he don't know which side he wants to stay on,
Yeah.
and that kind of makes it a little iffy.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about like politics, and even, especially nowadays where you can't you can't really speak your mind at work if you're in corporate America or anything like that. We can say whatever we want here. That's what's nice
Yeah.
about having our own company and our own, room for discussion. But it's you learned that this is what I feel is you got to stay a little bit on the fence because, like you said, that breaking that little barrier, you learn there's still some good ones over there you want to recruit in that know something you don't know. And I think I'm hoping I think that's what he's doing, obviously. But it's interesting to see. Yeah, before we go, I want to ask you this because you've lived, twice as long as I have. Is when you view what's happened with politics and the two-party system, how do you view, let's say, Republicans now to what Democrats were when you were younger?
Oh,
Because I can't consistently hear people that have lived long enough say that the Republicans now are the Democrats of yesterday. Is that true?
Yeah. But when I was growing up, the Republicans were more for the farm people,
And corporations.
corporation, than the Democrats.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I know all my great grandparents and all, they were all Republican. Mine were Republican because they were farmers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, around here, farmers were different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were different kind of farming.
Yeah.
We were wheat farming, cattle farming up there, and down here you were potato farming, asparagus, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's interesting to think even probably in different farming, it depended on what corporations you were trying to sell to, what, it's crazy. Because I think it's wild to think about how industry drives politics. Like I grew up, my family had a logging outfit. My great grandpa logged. They were always conservative, always Republican, always conservative. But now you see this younger generation of, well, actually Republicans now in my generation a little bit more, I would say libertarian, because we've learned from the older generations. We have, kids younger than us that are, and you're in the middle of that and you realize we've kind of absorbed, I would say, values and traits from both sides. And I think that's what we see happening in this younger Republican Party right
That's
now.
why we say you don't know which way. You're sitting on a fence and you don't know which side of the fence you're going to fall on.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm a Republican. I'm not going to say I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
Because I can't really go along with either party totally.
I like that. You're American. That's kind of the beauty of American, right? You just get a vote. Yeah.
And that's one thing I disagreed with the unions.
Yeah.
I don't believe they should be telling you how you vote.
Right. Yeah, that's not very American, is it?
No.
Yeah, I like that.
I remember we had that when we were in Sandvik. And they come in there and you got to vote Democrat or you better vote Republican or you're going to lose so much of this or you're going to lose so much of this, you know. What you gained from the union.
Yeah.
If you do this, you're not going to have this. And, you know, so you didn't want to
Right.
step on toes.
Right. Well,
Is that what you're kind of after?
yeah, yeah. No, I'm after whatever you say. It don't matter.
Well,
it's just
I'm just
interesting.
trying to see how you, as your generation compared to our generation, how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think, well, it's different because, you know, I work for one of the largest companies in the world, and I work with people from all over the world.
Right.
The other day I'm at lunch, one guy from Belarus, one guy from India, and then a lady from Nigeria. You know, we all have complete different guys. But what's crazy is when you sit down at lunch with them and you start to talk about your families and you start joking around with each other and you realize we're all pretty much have the same values.
We're not too much difference between any of us when you start talking that way.
Yeah, and so I think it's coming around with the more information and the way things are going now. And this is one of those things with less censorship. You're going to have more of that because there's no censorship when you're sitting at a lunch table with four of you right next to each other. No. And we got so divided over COVID where they were able to censor, they were keeping you from each other to have discussions like this. And I think what I hope to see over the next, let's say, well, hopefully for the rest of my life, but I know that's not reality, but I hope we see this over the next 4 years where the economy gets good enough where we can afford to go out to eat together more and do hobbies together more. And I think we're going to see the breakdown of those barriers and a lot more.
I hope to.
Like you said, you're not really one way or the other, you know, but you're going to vote with the majority of your core values. Yeah. And I think that's, and we owe that to, you know, people like you and John and others who we've had on here that serve in the military and protect those values. And I hope that corporate America does their job to allow freedom of speech in the workplace and things like that, because it's that's where we spend most of our day.
Right.
You know, you already know that your family's probably going to be closely aligned with you, but you need to have those conversations in the workplace, even though they might be not focusing on work at the time. They're still important in the big scheme of things. I think
you get down to that. Me and my daughter, we don't agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, she works out at Hannaford, and I'm just being retired, and I say something, she flies off the handle because she believes in her ways of doing things, and what we do is different. And she thinks my ideas are way out of bounds compared to what her ideas are.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's probably some common ground there too, for sure.
Well, yeah, there is, but a lot of times when we start talking, she takes the high road.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot of effort sometimes you think you're taking the high road, but
that's why
you burn a lot of fuel doing it sometimes.
That's why I don't talk too much about politics or stuff with her.
Yeah.
Because we can get into an argument and I just soon walk away from it.
That's what my grandpa used to always say. If you're going to fight, he told me when I was young, use your feet. Mm-hmm. As a kid, you're thinking, oh, we kick him? Yeah, yep, just run.
No, just walk away.
Just get out of there, yeah. No wasting.
Talk religion or politics.
Yeah.
Well, there's three things you never talk about: sex, religion, and politics.
Yeah. Was that with your kids or anybody?
Anybody. That was the way we were raised.
Yeah.
Sex, that was out taboo. Religion, that was it, and politics.
Yeah.
All three of them would get yourself in trouble with somebody.
Yeah.
Back then, anyway.
Yeah.
So that was the three things we
I
don't.
think it's still getting them in trouble.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But those were the three things my grandparents always says. Those are three things you don't really talk about.
Yeah. You think talking about it's bad. Getting involved in those three things is worse.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Yeah, you know it's great. You're not the first person that said that on here. Grammy talked about that.
Yeah.
But we'll probably finish up, Gary. But I tell you what, I appreciate you coming over with John, and we really enjoyed having dinner with you guys. And you're welcome anytime. I hope you guys invite me back into the VFW. I kind of felt bad because I think I was the only person in there not in that didn't serve in the military. But I tell you what, after that experience the other day, I was thinking more people should do that. More people should get the opportunity to go in there and sit down in there where you're surrounded by veterans and active duty people, because there's a different energy in that room and a camaraderie that can only be respected. You can feel it when you're in there. And even the ladies that that are in there working, I don't know if any of them served, but just you could feel their compassion for you guys.
But they're volunteers. They don't get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, it was remarkable. I suggest that people that watch this, if they want to learn more about our veterans, to take, even if it's what we visit for an hour, take an hour. If you see a VFW, and stop by and see if somebody will sign you in so you can learn something.
Yeah.
Well, if John and I are there, you're welcome there anytime, because either one of us will sign you in, no big deal.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And hopefully people go in there and buy you guys some beers, because it's that was a cool experience. Even though it doesn't maybe seem like much to people, I thought about that for a couple days, how much I enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
we'll take Wayne in there.
You're just another person, as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, in the VFW, you're neither Army, Navy, whatever. You're just
We kid each other.
we kid it. Well, we got one of them's a Marine. He's always
He was in the Army too.
Army, but he's always harassing us
Navy,
because
too.
the Navy.
Oh yeah,
Here
Pat?
comes the Navy.
Was that Pat? Yeah.
But here comes the Navy. But other than that, I think we're all did the same job, no matter what
Yeah.
branch we were, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And
Pat was there. He was a pilot.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, he's the pilot.
yeah, he's a Marine.
Yeah.
He's the Marine, and he also was in the Navy.
Yeah, he warmed up. And he took the card in the end. I'm hoping you guys can work on him.
Oh,
See if he
he's
wants
an
to come in.
interesting guy. I'm gonna tell
Oh
you.
yeah, Pat is. He is really.
Yeah. Well, I hope he gives us the opportunity to sit down in here and visit with him.
No, but
His
no,
wife's been.
yeah,
Oh, that's
she's
too
been
bad.
pretty bad off, and he don't stick around too much, either the VFW or down at American Legion in Benton City. But he always has to get home to make sure his wife is doing better.
Oh yeah, good for him. Yep, good for him. Well, I appreciate it, Gary.
Well, I appreciate you.